Chapter 5. The police station in the early hours of the morning, aside from the officers on duty, didn't have many citizens present. In the waiting room, 5 fourth-year students were sitting separately in different corners, their faces tense, as 2 of them were being interrogated. Jay and Mai were the first to be called in to give their statements. If they were called one by one, they feared the next ones on the list would argue about who was to blame, which would complicate the case. Time was waiting in a separate room, as instructed by the police, while they prepared some documents. Jay was sitting in a room with a one-way mirror on one side, connected to the observation room. It didn't take long before Kamen entered with a relaxed attitude, sat across from Jay, and offered him a bottle of water. "Drink some water. Don't get nervous." "Thank you. Are you still feeling dizzy?" "No, not anymore." Kamen didn't adopt an intimidating attitude, as that would only make the person being interrogated more nervous and cause them to forget or distort the facts. "What about my brother? He's waiting outside." Jay nodded, understanding. "Shall we start?" "It seems you're already familiar with police work, something like that." "Before the gathering, what were you doing at the university?" "It was the last day of orientation for the new students." "Around what time?" "Around 4 in the afternoon." "Most normally, that room is locked, right? How did you get the key?" "That room is a faculty storage room. It's often used for secret gatherings. We just bribed the guard and got the key. Champ was the one who got the key." Kamen nodded, understanding. "What time did you start drinking?" "If I remember correctly, around 8 in the evening." "You and your 7 friends have been close since when?" "Since our first year." "That's quite a long time. Have you ever had fights?" "Like any group of friends, we've had some, but never anything serious enough to hurt each other." "Can you tell me what happened last night while you were drinking?" Kamen's soft voice made Jay relax and focus more. Jay began to respect the person in front of him, even though he didn't know him well yet. "We started drinking and talking about the future and other topics. Then we played a game." "What game?" "We played Truth or Dare." "I know that game." Kamen didn't rush the interrogation or push too hard. He tried to ask direct questions while keeping the conversation casual to avoid creating too tense an atmosphere. "And then what happened?" "We played until midnight and started getting drunk because we were made to drink straight liquor several times as punishment." "Do you remember what time you passed out?" "Around 1, I think. I don't remember well because I was very drunk. Your brother said you called him, right?" "Yes, I called Jade to tell him I wouldn't be coming home, but I don't remember what happened after that." "You said you were the last to fall asleep. Are you sure?" "Yes, even though I was drunk, I remember seeing everyone on the floor before calling my brother." "Okay. What time did you wake up?" "I'm not sure, but when I woke up, I felt very dizzy, so I washed my face and woke everyone up. It must have been around 4. "Describe your dizziness to me." "The usual hangover, dizziness, a bit of nausea, headache. Everything was blurry in my memories." Kamen nodded, a doubt in his mind. "Who was the first to notice that Puifai had died?" "I asked time to wake Puifai, and he started shouting that she was dead. Belle and Shireen confirmed it, so I called an ambulance." "Your brother is a police officer. Why didn't you call him first if someone had died?" "I intended to call, but we called the ambulance first, waited for it to arrive, and when the doctor confirmed Puifai was dead, then I called Jade." "Why didn't you call your brother first?" "I was afraid it might have been our mistake, and it would turn into a big problem." Kamen glanced briefly at the mirror before looking back at Jay. "Who did you ask to call the ambulance?" "I don't think I heard that clearly. I asked Tonkla to call. That's all for today. If I have more questions, we'll talk again." "Do you think it wasn't an accident?" Jay asked worriedly. "What do you think?" "I don't know." Kamen placed his hands on the table and leaned forward, looking Jay in the eyes as if he were a helpless puppy. "Everyone has things on their mind that they don't tell anyone, not even their friends." Kamen's expression changed after speaking, and he left the room to go to the connected room. In the adjacent room with a one-way mirror, Jade was standing, watching his brother through the glass with a serious expression. "Did you write everything down, Lieutenant Ken?" "Yes, Inspector." He didn't tell everything. Cowan looked at the one who had sighed. Someone stopped him from calling. Jade, with his arms crossed, didn't take his eyes off his brother. "How do you know it wasn't him who decided not to call?" "I know my brother well. I warned you not to mix personal feelings with the case, or I'll remove you." "What personal feelings? Familial or ours?" Jade smiled, but received a forced smile in return. "I never said I don't like you, but I don't let my feelings interfere with the case. Don't worry." "You have a lot to say, Kamen. You too, Jade." Lieutenant Ken, sitting and taking notes of the interrogation, watched his superiors excitedly. He rarely saw someone argue with the captain so evenly, and it was even rarer to see the captain being reprimanded. "Should I call the next one?" Lieutenant Pry, who had just entered and saw her superiors in a heated argument, felt nervous and spoke softly. "Please, Lieutenant Pry." Kamen looked away from Jade to look toward the door. "Yes, Inspector. I won't bother you anymore." "Let's work together amicably," said Jade, raising his hands in surrender. "I hope you can do that for at least 10 minutes. What do you think caused those symptoms?" "I don't think they were just drunk and hungover. They wouldn't have all passed out at the same time. Jay has quite a high alcohol tolerance." Kameen thought for a moment before answering. "Midazolam. Why do you think it was that drug?" "It's just a guess. But first, we need to interrogate everyone and send the liquor glasses to forensics for analysis. After the interrogations, we'll collect the autopsy results from the hospital and the information from the forensic department." "Understood." Kamen looked at the red-haired young man who had just entered the interrogation room. He seemed nervous, looking around and clenching his hands. "Go ahead. Do you want to see my skills?" Jade smiled at Kamen before leaning on the edge of the mirror. "Yes, with all your talk. I want to see if you have more than just words." "Go ahead." Jade shrugged and entered the interrogation room. When the door opened, time jumped. Jade approached and patted him on the shoulder, offering him a bottle of water with a relaxed attitude. "Jade, I didn't do anything, I swear. Calm down, Time. Stay calm. The more useful your statement is, the better it will be for you." Jade knew how nervous Time could get, as he had seen it many times since Jay entered university. "What about Jay? He's in another room giving his statement. You drank last night, right? What did you do before?" "Before, we had a medal ceremony for the new students. Puafai was fine at that time. During the drinking, did anyone do anything strange or act unusually?" "No, but..." Time hesitated before continuing. "I don't know if it's strange, but at one point we ran out of ice. So I went to buy more at the store outside the university. When I came back, I saw Champ talking to Shireen outside. It looked like they were arguing, but when they saw me, they said they were just smoking." "Champ, Puafai's boyfriend?" "Yes. You were the first to touch Puafai. Why did you think she was dead?" "Because her body was so cold. And when I put my hand under her nose, I didn't feel her breathing. But I didn't do anything." "Just because of that, you thought she was dead? Didn't you try to check her pulse or listen to her heart? Who would have the calm to do that?" "My friend was cold and not breathing. If I didn't pee myself from fear, that's already a lot." "What were you doing around midnight?" "I didn't check the clock or touch my phone. Who knows? I was probably drunk and playing. It was my turn to answer questions." "Questions? What game were you playing? Truth or dare?" Jade began asking the same questions Kamen had asked Jay earlier. Their answers matched in everything. Until Jade reached a question that still intrigued him. "Why didn't you call the police or me when you found out Puafai was dead?" "It was Tar and Bell. They stopped Jay." "Tar and Bell?" "Yes, they were probably afraid of being accused too. Panic and confusion are common reactions, but if someone tries to run when their friend has died, that's suspicious." "One last question. Who prepared the drinks last night?" "Tankla." Jade nodded and asked Lieutenant Pry to take time to the waiting room with Jay, who had already finished his statement. Both didn't know what their friend was doing or what he had said. Kamen entered the room to talk to Jade about Time's statement. Although the details matched, the argument between Champ and Shireen outside was still suspicious, as were Tar and Bell. Tankla, who prepared the drinks, was also a key piece, as he could have put something in the glasses without anyone noticing. Who's next? "I think Tar and Bell. They seem the most worried. Whether out of fear, anxiety, or nervousness, we might get something from them." Okay. In the waiting room, the 5 students were sitting separately, growing more worried as time passed. "Why is this taking so long? When can I go home?" Tar got up from the couch and started pacing back and forth under the other's gaze. "I'm not waiting anymore." "I'm calling my mom," said Belle, also standing up. But before she could reach the door, it opened. "Belle and Tar, please come in to give your statements." "Wait, what about Jay and Time? They've already finished giving their statements." "Why them first? What did they say?" "I'm just here to take you to the interrogation room. Please follow me." Belle and Tar looked at each other before following Lieutenant Pry. This time, Jade and Kamen decided to interrogate both together. The impulsive and nervous attitude of these two might make them reveal things they were trying to hide. "Hello," said Tar, a bit nervous, while Belle seemed more annoyed. "Hello, shall we start? If we give our statements, can we go home?" "Yes, we can only hold you for 48 hours. "Can we call our parents?" "We've already notified them. They're on their way." Both relaxed a little, and Kamen took the opportunity to continue the interrogation. "How long have you been friends?" "Since our first year," Belle answered, and Tar nodded to confirm. "Have you ever had fights?" No. "Then, can you tell me what happened from when you started drinking until you realized Puafai had died?" Both looked at each other, as if deciding who would speak first. Finally, Tar began. They took turns recounting what had happened without interruptions, complimenting each other, until Belle was the one who touched Pui Fai and said she was dead. "Why are you saying that?" "I wasn't the only one who touched her," Belle shouted. "You didn't touch her? Only time touched her?" "You also shouted when the doctor said Pui Fai was dead." Belle stood up and yelled at Tar. "Who knows? Maybe you did something to Pui Fai. You almost did it before." "Damn it, Belle!" Seeing that both were about to fight, Cayman stepped between them, while Jade held Tar back. "If you use violence, you'll face real charges," said Cayman, separating them. "One more question, Tar. Did you call the ambulance?" "Then who did?" "I don't know." Tar glared at Belle angrily before trying to break free, but he couldn't overcome Jade's strength. "Go calm down." Jade took Tar to the waiting room, leaving Belle and Cayman alone. "Belle, what did you mean?" "Someone like him. I'm not surprised he gets nervous talking to the police." "Why?" "Because he uses drugs. He had drugs that night. Who knows? Maybe he drugged Pufai. Or ask his friend Shireen, who cried so much. I don't know if she was really sad or pretending." Belle finished speaking and left the interrogation room, pushing past Cayman. It seems the group of friends that many envied is no longer what outsiders see. Chapter 6. The tall man with a buzz cut that made his face look more attractive entered the interrogation room. Tonkla's calm demeanor made Jade's eyebrows rise slightly. Cayman, who was observing from the observation room, also noticed the same thing. Tonkla seemed too calm despite being in the middle of a police interrogation and the recent death of a friend in the group. However, the guy in front of them didn't seem sad or nervous at all. "Sit down. Yes. Do you want some water or prefer coffee?" "No, thank you." "Ask whatever you want, Brother Jade." "Okay." Jade crossed his arms and looked at the guy in front of him with a relaxed attitude. "Tell me what happened while you were drinking together." "After the welcome ceremony, we went to that room. We all helped set up the room, unpack the food, and then sat down to drink as usual. Time and Jay arrived later. Then we drank, played, and fell asleep. When we woke up, we found Phi dead. Where were those two? I don't know. What did you drink?" "Liquor and beer, as usual." "Did you prepare the drinks for everyone?" "Yes." Every question Jade asked, Tonkla answered immediately without hesitation. There were two reasons for this. 1, the guy was honest and could answer without issues. 2, he was blatantly lying and had prepared everything in advance. Much did everyone drink to fall asleep at the same time. We decided to drink until we were exhausted to celebrate the end of the welcome ceremony. No one worried about going home, so we drank without restrictions. "According to what your friend said, you played Truth or Dare, right?" "Yes. Then let's play." Jade leaned forward, resting his elbows on the table and looking at the guy in front of him with an empty gaze. "I ask you, besides you, did anyone else handle the drinks?" "What if I don't answer?" "Then I dare you to stay in this room with me for an hour." Being with a cop who could ask questions at any moment for more than 20 minutes was already exhausting. If there was something to hide, it wouldn't be good. No one else touched the drinks. I prepared the liquor and poured the beer all night. "I see. Then, let me ask you. When you found out Phi had died, were you the one who called the ambulance?" "Yes, it was me because Jay told me to call." "Okay, you can go rest." Jade leaned back in his chair as the tall guy left the room. He looked at the clean white ceiling, closed his eyes slowly, and then laughed. "What are these kids up to?" Cayman looked at Jade, who was laughing alone in the room, and sighed. The events the kids recounted matched, but there were some details that didn't add up. The difficulty of this case was that there were no security cameras in the room, and the only exterior camera that should have captured the entrance was pointing at the sky. This had been the case for over a month, probably because the students who used the room secretly didn't want to be caught. Earlier, when we interrogated Tar, did the captain also ask him if he was the one who called the ambulance? "Yes, Inspector." Jade probably asked random questions to ensure his brother's testimony was correct, but it was clear that at the time, no one was conscious enough to know what the others were doing due to panic and worry. The testimony about Jay and Tonkla calling the ambulance matched, but Cayman still didn't rule out any suspicions. Cayman walked to the interrogation room and approached Jade, who was still leaning back with his eyes closed. "Get out of here, Jade. I'll interrogate the other two." With no response, Cayman approached Jade's chair and looked at him with irritation. "Captain, is it nap time?" Jade's black eyes opened and looked at Cayman without looking away. His serious face and playful smile left Cayman speechless. "There are two people left. One is the boyfriend and the other is the best friend. Who seems more suspicious?" "Aren't they all suspects? I won't make random guesses. You're no fun." Jade stood up and stretched. It was already 7 in the morning. The kids' parents were waiting outside. They couldn't waste any more time. Without clear evidence, they couldn't hold anyone. This is a waste of time. Quick, interrogate the last two people, Inspector. If you're hungry, go get something to eat. I don't have you chained up. Cayman was too tired to argue, so he ordered Lieutenant B. Prey to bring Champ in for questioning. Breakfast is important. If you skip it, your brain won't function well, and you won't be able to solve the case. Cayman didn't respond, but sat across from Jade, resting his chin on his hand and looking at him with an exasperated expression. Do you always work like this? Like what? Like it's all a game. This is a murder case, Captain. Do I seem like I'm playing? Jade leaned toward Cayman, his eyes filled with seriousness and intensity. There was no trace of the earlier joke in his voice or behavior. The more you push, the more the kids will resist and hide. Do you really think every answer you've gotten so far is true? If this case was an accident, fine. But if it's murder, it means one of the 7 planned it from the start. Do you really think the killer will confess, Inspector? The two stared at each other in silence until there was a knock on the door, and Lieutenant B. Prey entered with a tall, disheveled young man with black hair. I'll go make some coffee. Jade smiled at Cayman and stood up, but before leaving, he stopped in front of Champ and smiled at him. Make yourself at home. Thank you. Sit down. Cayman stopped worrying about the police station captain and focused on interrogating the other 2 people. Champ, right? Yes. Tell me about your relationship with Pui Fai. I'm her boyfriend. Did you have any problems or arguments? Sometimes. Can you tell me about them? Pui Fai is jealous, so we sometimes had issues because of that. Did you sit next to Pui Fai last night? Did you see anything strange or notice her acting differently? No, nothing. Did Pui Fai drink a lot? Not much. If she didn't drink much, she shouldn't have died, right? Lately, Pui Fai was stressed about her final year of studies and job hunting, so she had trouble sleeping. She took Medicat Ion, but I don't know what kind. I see. Kemen nodded and continued. Tell me what happened last night after the welcome ceremony. Champ recounted the events of the previous night from start to finish. The details matched what the others had said, but he omitted the part where he went out to talk with Saren. That's the whole story. What's the relationship between Pui Fai and Saren? They're close friends. Since when? Since high school, I think. Pui Fai told me they became friends in high school and promised to attend university together. So they're quite close. Kemin leaned back in his chair, more relaxed. Your girlfriend died. Are you very sad? Of course. We made plans for the future together, work, moving in. I can't believe Pui Fai is dead. People express grief in different ways, but the indifference he showed seemed a bit cold for someone who claimed to have a future together. In the waiting room, only Shireen remained, sitting on the couch, nervously rubbing her hands. Her large, slanted eyes looked around cautiously. When she made sure the room had security cameras, she stood up and walked toward the trash can. With her hand in her skirt pocket, she seemed to be pulling something out, but a greeting startled her, and she quickly pretended nothing was happening. I see you've been waiting a while. Would you like a sandwich? Thank you. She returned to the couch and took the sandwich Jade offered her. What were you doing just now? Just throwing away a tissue. I'm sorry about your friend. Shireen didn't respond, only nodded slightly. Her red eyes, a sign she had been crying a lot, made Jade offer her a tissue to wipe her tears. I understand you've been friends for a long time. Yes, we've been friends since high school. Had FAI ever had any similar problems before? No. Normally when we went out drinking, FAI drank without issues. But lately, FI has been stressed about exams and future work, so she's had insomnia. I've seen her buy sleeping pills. I'm not sure if that had any effect. Jade listened attentively, his face unreadable. When the incident happened, you must have been very scared. Yes, I was so scared I didn't know what to do. Then Jay asked Tonkla to call the hospital, right? Tonkla, right? Yes, Tonkla was the one who called. Jade nodded, holding 2 cups of coffee, and stood up with a smile. Don't worry, relax. I'll leave before the inspector complains about the late coffee. Jade spoke with a look of boredom before excusing himself and leaving the room. Once the door closed, his smile slowly faded. During Champ's interrogation, Jade was also present, so he knew all the answers and the cadence of the responses. This indicated that the 2 guys had already talked beforehand and possibly agreed on a narrative. If one wasn't lying and forcing the other to follow a story, then both were collaborating to hide the truth. After Champ left, Shireen was taken to the interrogation room. Her account of the events matched in every detail, but like Champ, she omitted the part where she went out to talk with him outside. Do you normally smoke? No, really? I must be confused because earlier Time said he saw you smoking outside with Champ. Kamen kept his expression impassive as Shireen began to feel nervous. I just went out for some fresh air. It was cold inside, and I ran into Champ outside. I thought it wasn't important, so I forgot about it. Let me ask you a couple more questions. Everyone's parents are already waiting. Had Phi ever had any conflicts with anyone before? No, Phi wasn't the type to look for trouble, and in the group, Did the 8 of you ever have any conflicts? No, we never argued. Okay, that will be all for today. We'll be in touch if there are more questions. Yes. Saren was taken to the waiting room with the others. The silent atmosphere didn't surprise Cayman. It was a mix of distrust and wariness, so no one spoke first. That's all for today. After we receive the forensic autopsy results, we'll inform you. If there are still doubts, we may need to invite you to testify again, individually. Jade entered the room and handed Cayman a cup of coffee. Your parents are waiting outside. Go home safely. No one said anything. Everyone stood up and hurried out, except Jay, who approached his brother with a tense face. Let's grab something to eat, and then I'll take you home. When will we get the autopsy results? Soon. Have you already informed FAI's parents? Yes. Jade looked at his brother without smiling. Tell me the truth. What are you hiding? Nothing. Then why did you hesitate during the interrogation? When did I hesitate? When I asked you why you didn't tell me first. Jay remained silent, looking at Cayman, who was drinking coffee and listening to the conversation. I was afraid the inspector would distrust Tar and Bell. Even though they have bad tempers, they wouldn't hurt anyone. How can you be so sure? You're not even the same as you were an hour ago. How can you trust the others, Jay? I'm their friend. How well do you think you know your friends? Jade stopped paying attention to his brother and turned to Cayman. Let's grab something to eat. I don't have time. I'm going to eat and then to the hospital. Join me if you want. Come on, Inspector Cayman. You've been working all night. Cayman looked at the brothers alternately. Aside from their physical resemblance, their personalities were like from different worlds. I'll drive. Cayman sighed tiredly. It was just an invitation to eat, not to sleep together. With that mouth, I thought you ate croquettes. The brothers watched Cayman's back as he walked away until he was out of sight. He's cute, Jade. Cute? Do you need glasses, Jay? With that mouth, how can he be cute? Yes, he is. From the first day I saw him, I thought he was cute. Today, even though the situation is bad, I still think he's cute. The first day? I saw him at the Drink Me Club. His eyes are beautiful. Jade narrowed his eyes and looked at his brother before making a face. Sure. How did you see his eyes in such a dark club? In the bathroom. Wait and see. When he yells at you, you'll forget how cute he is. So, you also think Inspector Cayman is cute? Jay looked at his brother as they walked to the parking lot. When they arrived, they saw Cayman talking on the phone. When he saw them, Cayman rolled his eyes. Is that your cute guy? Yes. The brothers stopped arguing about how cute the new inspector was as soon as they got in the car, fearing that if they talked too much, Cayman would leave them on the road. And by the look on Cayman's face, it seemed like he would. Chapter 7. Cayman rolled his eyes as he watched the two brothers sitting across from him, arguing over breakfast. He was about to finish eating, but the two in front of him wouldn't stop bickering. Eat your food, Jade. Why are you stealing mine? I paid. Jade took a meatball from Jay's plate and ate it, raising an eyebrow with satisfaction. Damn it. Brother Min, did you just arrive as the new inspector here? Jay muttered, complaining about his brother, then turned to Cayman, who was watching the cars pass by outside. Yes. Are you going to handle this case? Yes. Do you think this is a murder? Cayman looked across the table and sighed. You're still a suspect, you know. A friend of mine died. I need to know what happened. Jay's seriousness didn't soften Cayman at all. The inspector won't say anything. The case is under investigation. Jade finished his last spoonful of rice and looked at Cayman. Can I go to the hospital with you? I promise not to cause trouble. Er you to deathike diep next TTAAFTRDS? Blesses Blackrose 85. From fans for fans. Do not rename. Ask your brother. I'll wait in the car. Follow me when you're done. Cayman left a purple bill on the table and walked out, leaving the brothers staring at each other with different expressions. Is he always this serious? I don't know. I just started working with him. Hey, pay the bill, Jade called the restaurant owner, picked up the money Cayman had left, paid with his own money, and pocketed the change. Can I go to the hospital with you? What for? You won't be able to get in anyway. I just want to know, Jay, I'm asking you seriously, do you really not know, or are you just hiding something about the problems among your friends? Jay looked at his brother, whose face was more serious than usual. Of course there are problems, but do you think it would lead to murder? Let me ask you, who had the most problems with Phi, in your opinion? Jay thought for a while as his brother paid the restaurant owner. Ugh, I don't know if the others had issues, but Tar and Phi had a fight in our second year. During the welcome ceremony, we, the second years, were the leaders of the activities. After the ceremony, we went to Tar's house to celebrate. There were almost 20 of us. Jay ran a hand through his gray hair and continued. In the second or third round, those who could went home, and those who were drunk stayed. When Time and I were about to leave, we heard a scream and ran upstairs. I saw Tar on top of Phi. What did you do? We stopped him. I remember Time and I held him back. Then he apologized to Fei. At first, it seemed like they would stop being friends, but Champ asked for it. Champ, Phi's boyfriend? After the incident, when Champ helped Phi, they became. Jade listened silently, taking in all the information. When they got to the car, they saw Kamin on the phone. Yes, I'm on my way. Who was it? Jade asked when Kamin hung up. The forensics department. They said the analysis of the liquids in the glasses and bottles from the scene is ready. And what did they say? Kamin looked at the guy in the back seat and drove without saying anything else. Jade understood and didn't press further. Where do I drop your brother off? At home. I'll give you directions. Brother Min. What? If you need more questions, you can call me. Why should the inspector call you, Jay? Does he have your number? It should be in my file. Are you really a cop? Which way do I turn, Jade? Hello. Inspector Kamin, I heard you're investigating the death of the student at the university, just a group of kids drinking. I don't think it needs this much time to investigate. It hasn't even been 48 hours. Do you call that a long time? One of those kids' parents is someone important. You should close the case soon. I have my investigation methods. Thanks for the advice, but I can handle it. Jade watched Kamin at the wheel. Although his face remained impassive, his tone showed he was holding back frustration. I think it's nothing more than an accident. You should spend your time on something else. Is that all, Commander? I'm working. Inspector, hang up. We're almost there. Jade raised his voice and pointed to the neighborhood. That's all, Commander. Kamin hung up and carelessly tossed the phone aside. So annoyed? He must have said something you didn't like. Yeah. In the parking lot were 2 motorcycles and 2 luxury cars, probably belonging to the 2 brothers in the car. I'm leaving, Brother Min. Thanks for bringing me. Jay leaned toward the front seat and smiled at Kamin until his brother pushed him away in annoyance. Get out already. After dropping Jay off, they headed to the hospital where Puifai's body was. They needed to collect the autopsy results to determine the cause of death and then return to the forensics department to review the evidence from the scene. All of this would tell them whether it was an accident or murder. Jay told me the victim and a guy named Tar had issues before Jade broke the silence in the car. What kind of issues? Harassment and attempted assault. Kamin looked at his partner. Such a serious incident. He didn't believe they could remain friends. Jade recounted everything he'd heard from his brother so they could analyze it. How could they stay in the same group after something like that? Jay said it was because Champ asked for it. If it happened once, it could happen again. Let's wait for the autopsy results. They arrived at the hospital's forensics department at 9 in the morning. Upon entering, they saw the forensic doctor signing a report next to a body covered with a white sheet. Ah, you're here. One moment, please. The young man in a lab coat removed his cap, gloves, and mask, then picked up a folder and approached Kamin and Jade. It's not common to perform autopsies like this. Normally, we only deal with natural deaths. The last time was a gruesome murder at the beach. Jade nodded, understanding. That case had been shocking for the police and forensic doctors, but since it was a special unit case, the body wasn't there for long. Have you already done the autopsy? Yes. I'll explain it part by part. If you have questions, let me know. But first, let me introduce myself. I'm Yatfan. You can call me Phut. I'm the forensic doctor here. I'm Kamin, and this is Captain Jade. Nice to meet you. It's not appropriate to talk here. Let's go to my office. Phut led them to his office, cluttered with disorganized documents. Sorry for the mess. I don't usually have visitors. Would you like coffee or water? Can you tell us the cause of death? We have other. Sure. Let's start. Phut swept the documents off the desk and opened a brown folder. I hope you haven't registered the case as an accident. Kamin and Jade exchanged glances, then looked at the forensic doctor who adjusted his glasses. Because this is a murder. No need for the drama, doctor. The criminal might escape while you're talking, Jade complained, puffing his cheeks in frustration. I don't want you to stress. The cause of death is more concerning. Tell us, Phut. The cause of Puifai's death was heart failure. And? Jade pressed him. If it were normal, it would be an accident. But look at this. The doctor pointed to a document with hard-to-read values, but one Medicat ion name was clear. I analyzed the victim's blood and found 3 medications. They're normally used in medicine, but in proper doses and under supervision. In this case, whoever injected them wasn't careful. Injected? Yes. Let me explain. Phut showed a photo of the thigh with a red mark and a needle puncture. These 3 medications are used in criminal executions. Sodium thiopental, pancuronium bromide, potassium chloride, Kamen read the names and listened as Futt continued. Sodium thiopental is a medication used to induce anesthesia. Pancuronium bromide is a muscle relaxant that stops respiratory function. Potassium chloride causes hyperkalemia, and if used in excessive amounts, it can lead to cardiac arrhythmias and eventually heart failure and death. Were they all injected together? According to the results, they weren't injected at the same time. If it was a murder, the perpetrator might have wanted the victim to appear asleep to avoid suspicion. Is it related to alcohol? No. No alcohol levels above the limit were found in the victim's blood. Time of death? Between 12:45 and 1 a.m. This matched Jay's testimony, who said he passed out around 1 a.m. There are no other external injuries, just the needle mark in the photo. And internally? I'll perform the autopsy tomorrow. Inform me of the results. Of course, Kamen left with the report, visibly tense. He needed to return to the station and check if the substances found in the glasses and bottles from the scene contained any of these 3 medications. I'll drive. Jade stepped in his way. I can drive. Drive or read. I don't want to end up in the hospital because the inspector reads documents while driving. Fine. Kamen handed over the keys and kept reading the report. As they left the forensics department, an emergency gurney rushed past. Kamen was pulled into a strong chest and hugged around the waist. Sorry. The nurse apologized as he pushed the gurney with the patient. I understand you're stressed about the case, but be careful. Let me go. Not even a thank you. Thank you. More sweetly. You don't let me go. You'll walk back to the station. Sorry, but I have the keys. Kamen broke free with irritation. Jay just laughed and let go, taking his hand instead. Let's go, so you don't crash into anyone else. Kamen let himself be guided while continuing to read the report intently. He had to figure out who and why committed this murder. He hoped it wouldn't get more complicated.